boob tube too. I love it. But this was particularly thrilling because it was unexpected, and this great performance was recognized by this particular actor's peers. And I guess we were all so delighted because we didn't realize, in the light of his history as a performer, that he was capable of giving a fine, heavy, dramatic performance because he won his first fame as a singer. He is now turning his energies into his dramatic acting at full force. It's a new face to the acting scene and a wonderful, warm, beautiful face for all of us. Mr. David Cassidy. You see how happy they are to see you?
Boy, well, I'm just as happy to see you.
Well, it's about that.
Hey, well, thank you.
I'll tell you what. You've been tiptoeing around me for about 4 years. We've been trying to get you to come on the show, and I used to think it was personal. And then I found out you haven't done any talk shows.
I've never done a major talk show. I did...
You did David's.
Yes, I did his. I was about to say Phil, somewhere. I can't... Yeah. I've never done a major talk show. I did, I've done interviews and things.
Why?
That's a good question. I just, whenever the opportunity came up and people would ask, I think because prior to doing what I've been doing the last week or 10 days, all the week and 10 days, I just never really had any desire to, I think, reveal myself in that respect.
It's funny. Most people are nervous about doing an interview because there are so many speculative things written about you in all the magazines that are fictional and purely speculative, that when you get a chance to talk about yourself, you're not ready to do it. But you've got to be ready to talk about acting now because that performance on Police Story was so exciting.
Oh, that's so sweet of you to say.
Not only because... David, I saw none of the advance publicity on it, so I did not know what that night. But I just happened to tune into Police Story because I happen to be very fond of that series. And I saw them and I said, gee, he looks like David Cassidy, but that guy's so good, he couldn't When would you learn to be an actor like that?
Well...
It means a lot to you, doesn't it?
It means an awful lot to me. What a lot of people don't know is that I started as an actor, and I think I was 17, and I was working at the LA Theater Company. And I left...
Before the Partridge Family?
Oh, long before, a few years before. And I left Los Angeles, which I'd been living out here, I guess 6 years or so. And I went back to New York. And I started studying acting. And, I got a part-time job in a textile industry. It was tough.
You did?
Yeah, I was
not in a laundromat?
No. Nothing quite so glamorous as a laundromat, no.
The textile industry.
And I was going out on auditions, and I had a good time, struggling for a week and a half, and no, it was a relatively short period of time, although it was whenever you're beginning, it's all relative. I mean, if it's 3 months or 30 years, people will tell you there are a certain amount of dues that everyone has to pay, and I'm sure you know it, and I'm certainly sure you know it. No, I'm kidding.
But the reason you would know it, probably more than most people, is that your career happened so quickly.
So fast.
And it really is difficult to top yourself. You started out, and when people are screaming and cheering and tearing your clothes off everywhere you go, there's certain rewards, financial rewards, but your career doesn't get a chance to evolve as gradually.
Precisely, which is why it happened in such a bizarre way, because I really was an actor, and I really was pursuing that. I had done a lot of dramatic guest shots and things, and I never anticipated anything near the magnitude or anything like that. It was just an acting job for me to do the Partridge Family and to do the pilot for it. And when it all evolved, it was just as, I was just as dumbstruck as everyone else, perhaps more, I guess, because, being at the focal point of that, it's the old saying, you can't really see the forest through the trees,
No, and it's frightening.
It really is frightening. And I lost perspective as to what I wanted to do. And I felt more and more that as I continued it, it kind of robbed me of my identity, You know, people looked at me and said, "Oh, there he is. You're the guy who
He's the one who plays the guitar and sings the rock song."
Yeah.
Eric, this is something we discussed once. It happened very quickly. Chips, grabbed hold of the public imagination and fancy right away. But the degree to which David was subjected to the heat.
I remember.
Was so colossal. I don't know how anybody's psyche can handle it.
Well, I tell you, I refer to it now as like going through the tunnel. You know, at least that's where it was for me, because I really lost touch with all my friends.
Yeah.
You know, I became very paranoid, which is part of the reason why I never did a talk show before. And I couldn't imagine myself sitting down here and trying to articulate what that experience was about. So what I did was I just stopped it all. I left the business for about almost 4 years, and the reason that it feels so good to hear people responding in the way that you did, and you did, is because it was the first thing I had done in about 4 years.
Let me ask you one question. The David Cassidy that we knew from the Partridge Family, who was going through the tunnel at the time, he must have been going through his own particular kind of hell. Really, no matter how much heaven surrounding him, it's very difficult.
True.
Was counterculture.
Exactly.
Represented a lot of things with counterculture. Now you're playing a policeman.
Yeah.
How'd you turn that?
Can you see me as a cop?
Turn it around in your head.
I must say that the policeman, you know, the concept of being a policeman, as you know, and you're out doing, I could not, and I don't say this in any way, condescending way, because I just don't. I admire someone who can put on a uniform and assume the identity of that kind of a policeman. I can't.
But it took me a year before I started.
You felt comfortable?
I started looking at the uniform as a responsibility instead of a costume.
Yeah.
Really,
I hear that.
For the first year, I just whipped it on, and I was an actor working. Now I'm aware that
what it means.
I'm wearing.
The responsibility.
Oh, yeah.
I'm beginning to feel that a little bit myself.
Yeah.
But the story really is much, I guess, like most of the police stories were. It's more a human involvement, and the opportunity that I have is the fact that this guy really, really cares about what's going on out there in the streets, and that's why he's doing it. He's a man of a great integrity, I think, and
will you be
a lot of
portraying
policemen do.
a character based on one policeman, or will it be on several different characters, a composite?
Well, it's really, obviously my character is a character that myself and David Gerber and a few of the writers have developed. But it was taken, the true experiences were taken from a group of undercover cops, most of whom I've met here and spent some time with, and it's absolutely fascinating. I mean, the education that I've been having, and it's just incredible.
Just to see the other side, right, Eric?
Right.
You really get to know those guys.
I really
you know
also,
what they go through. Sure.
I never, I suppose I was like most other people, where my attitude was, I always felt like it was them and it was us, you know, and they were kind of like those guys, the bad guys, and my attitude was always like that, but it's really changed. I really developed a lot of respect for them.
That's the way it should be, you know, but it's hard to get.
He will not switch from...
We've touched on really fascinating subjects. Eric mentioned a moment ago that when he put on the California Highway Patrol uniform, at first it was just a uniform that you put on as an actor, and he suddenly began to assume the responsibility that the role forced on you.
I represent law enforcement.
That's right. And David, the motivation for so many reasons for wanting to do something dramatic like this, and now that you understand playing...
It's so, you know, fascinating, really. Honestly, I've learned so much, and I really have developed a tremendous amount of respect for anyone who can put on that uniform and really understand what they're wearing. And I don't want to sound like I'm preaching about it, but you know, meeting them, I've never tended to look at them as really human beings, and they're incredible guys.
Yeah.
I mean, they really are incredible guys.
And they opt to do the most unpopular thing because they have to be, you know...
Fast-living guys, too, you know, They really do live.
Oh, I read Joseph Wambaugh's books, too.
You'd be surprised how many. One thing I found in the highway patrol is the intelligence, the IQ of these guys. It's incredible.
Well, dealing with human beings every day, I mean, every walk of life.
As well as the reflexes have to be so incredible. Yeah, what motivation for a comedian is an interesting aspect of show business. Is it, do you go out because you crave laughs, or do you crave that kind of attention, or is that a sign of approbation? What does it mean?
Well, the primarily motivation there, I guess, would be the hope of picking up good-looking girls.
Well, we know where you have to go for that.
I've given some thought to that within about the last 6 months, and I agree with a theory that other people have suggested, and that is it's a way to overcome your insecurities. You know,
to get laughs?
Yeah, you may not feel as good, or you may not feel equal to other people unless you are demonstrating to them that you have a quick wit, an amusing mind, whatever, and you can make people laugh. And I think there may be something to that. Everyone has some sort of inadequacy in comedy. I don't know what causes it. It probably differs from person to person. But with that ability, that in their own mind brings them up onto a par with the other people, or even gives them a feeling of superiority.
Oh, it's a great power to make people laugh and to hear them applaud. And to hear them applaud if you've done something unusual, like Eric Estrada did a dance number on Chips the other night. I saw it.
Yeah.
And they did too. Was that choreographed, or
That was choreographed. It was a 3-minute dance. I had a minute and a half by myself, and then I had a minute and a half with a partner, and Joe Bennett choreographed it. And in 5 hours, I learned this dance.
Did you love it?
I loved it because I started out in the business singing and dancing 13 years ago.
Yeah.
I didn't know
That's
that.
great. I know. That's wonderful.
Singing and dancing 13?
Yeah, in Spanish. I got into this group where Mayor Lindsay was giving these kids from the ghettos $32 a week plus all the arts. Arts and a creative workshop.
Right.
Where
Incentive.
for all the kids that couldn't because they couldn't afford it with money, so they would take us and they would give us all the acting and fencing and dancing and drama lessons we could swallow, plus a box lunch, plus $32.
$32 in the box lunch we haven't got today, but I got your partner over there.
Are you kidding?
I got a lady over there, Christine,
hey.
who may do the dance with you. Would you do it with her?
Well, we'll do a short version.
All right.
Oh, great.
Great.
Melinda Naud from Operation Petticoat. David Letterman will discuss the real Operation Petticoat, the guys cruising down Hollywood Boulevard. Eric Estrada will do a new pilot script about an overweight policewoman called Hips. And David Cassidy will do a mini-series based on the underwear industry called Wide World of Shorts.
you recognize Melinda Maud as Sergeant Dolores Crandall. She's a lieutenant. I just demoted her. Lieutenant Dolores Crandall, ABC's Operation Petticoat, Monday nights at 8:30. Let's look at Melinda as Lieutenant Crandall in a scene from the show right now.
We met on a game show that Alan Ludden did a...
She kissed him.
I know.
And just kind of shook hands with you.
Yeah.
You know our David?
Yes, I do.
We lived
Where do you
together
know?
for a while.
No, we don't. We did not. We met in a laundromat. Don't you remember? Yeah, it's true. Yeah, you did. Really? No, actually, we met on a game show that Alan Ludden did a run-through for a new game show.
Uh-huh.
And we both were contestants on the show.
I'd like my socks back.
How about your shirt?
Hey, that was a cute scene from
In that case, give me back my laundry bag.
You watch what you want back. But Operation Petticoat's entirely different this year. Joanne Flug was on.
Yes, and Randy Mantooth was in Emergency.
Sure, Randy Mantooth.
And Bob Hogan. He was in General Hospital, and he also was in a series that didn't last too long.
But they've changed the series around. How many other changes have they made?
Well, out of 18 people, there are 3 of us left.
Whoops.
Yeah, it's Operation Disaster. Apparently, it would appear to be, but it isn't. Everybody's getting along very well. It's entirely a new cast, and it's a different experience. It's really a new show.
It really, they've changed the locale, the kind of ship it is. They've changed
Yes,
the
it's
role.
a hospital ship now. I have the same role. I play a klutz. Good-natured klutz.
Good-natured and cheery. Yeah.
And we fall in love. And same room.
All in the same sub, please.
The same sub.
Oh, good heavens. Standards and practices will have you on the carpet. No?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm really kidding. We're all very good friends.
That's right. But social life, when the sub lands, whatever a sub does,
Right,
they
it's
come into
that,
port.
right. So I read the scene, and I thought it was kind of cute, and I said, okay. She said, you're not doing anything tomorrow, and I said, no. So I showed up, and I walked on the set thinking, my jeans and T-shirt, nothing, no hair done, no makeup on. This wouldn't make me up, because it was almost, well, I don't really know.
Have you met his parents?
Yes, I did.
So there was nervousness all around. First time you met his folks?
Yes.
First. This is the day that Eric made his debut on the show, and then this is the first time he's ever danced on a talk show, and David has never been on a
talk on a
That's
talk
right.
show.
First time he's been on a
Watch my lips, you know.
It's just his lips. He's not lip syncing at all. His lips.
That's right.
First time David's been on our show. First time you've been on our show.
Yes.
So if you'd like to make another first right here, just tell us.
Is there a phone around here?
That's very stupid.
Wait a second, David. It's very easy for you to say that. Go ahead.
Never.
You can change your mind later, but right now it'll be a lot of excitement if you would go ahead and do it.
Yeah. If you have any community spirit at all, it would just make our show.
Plus, I'm sure Dinah has a nice, expensive gift for you, getting married and all.
Of course you get married on this show. If you think they did it for Tiny Tim.
Do you know, I have a gift for you.
You have?
And you know what happened is that we were so late, I was supposed to get out of the studio about, 3 or 4, and I just, barely made
Left
it
my
here.
gift at the studio.
From Cincinnati.
A gift from
Yes,
No.
2 gifts from Cincinnati, from Bob Wiggin and Taft
sure.
Broadcasting.
All friends of ours.
Yes,
Well, I'll be darned.
who say that you are their favorite people there.
Did you date actresses very much?
No, as a matter of fact, I never thought that I would end up marrying an actress. I thought the last person, that I would want to turn to, I was always seeking other outlets, like, Lonely Hearts Clubs and things, like hanging out with water. No. I never did, and my wife, Caitlin, so I married about a year and a half. She's so wonderful.
Oh, and such
she's
a
out
great
there
actress,
watching.
too.
Yeah.
Oh, she's such a good actress.
Yeah, it's really a nice, it's a nice kind of a balance.
It works, yeah.
It really does.
See, so it's only one lines together.
Yeah.
And then, like any other
word is getting around.
Melinda, you had so much trouble. I know that you had a kind of a preference for the little ballet doll.
Yes, I really
But the
liked
fellas
it.
picked out one for you.
They did?
Yes, since you really couldn't make up your mind. You weren't that sure. This is what they thought you ought to have.
Yeah.
Go.
The best?
Yeah. So, first, his name is Bob McGilpin, and if you notice that he sings with great conviction, it's because he writes what he performs. Here's his new single from his first album, Superstar, Bob McGilpin. Welcome. Nice to meet you.
Hi there.
Hey, that's great. Is that backflip in the record?
Yeah, in the studio.
Sound effects, of course. Well, who was your influence when you were growing up?
Oh, absolutely, the Beatles. The Beatles.
Everybody loved the Beatles.
When I first started playing guitar, they were really big, and it got me into playing guitar. And it just kind of was something I wanted to do. It was so exciting to watch these guys and to having such a good time. It was outrageous. It was fun. You know.
Looked like they were having a good time.
Yeah.
They made it look like they were having.
That's what it was, absolutely, because I found out that
They weren't having a good time.
Whoa, there was a lot of work.
Where were you looking at the Beatles? Where's home?
Well, my dad was in the service, so at the time we were stationed at Vandenberg in California, and they were just starting to happen really big. This was when they had gone through their stages, and they were at their peak.
Yeah.
And I was really influenced by it all, and I started playing guitar.
You started playing guitar, but did you have any success at all?
Well, this was when you just, I would practice in my bedroom and drive my parents nuts. I only knew one song. It was Little Red Riding Hood, and I played it for about a week, and I go, we gotta get this guy some lessons.
Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs.
That's it. That was the first song that I learned.
Ba. Yeah. I always remember that.
And from that time, it's taking you that long to get where you are now?
Well, I didn't really get serious until about 4 years ago. It was just a hobby, yeah, and I joined a band. I later moved to Omaha, Nebraska. My dad was stationed at SAC, and I played in some high school bands, and we played in fraternities and parties and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really serious then either. It was just something to do on your summer vacation,
the presence on the record is tremendous, and those high notes, they're yours too?
Yeah, I did all the vocals on the album.
You got? Can you sum up that struggle of yours in one little phrase, more or less?
Hard work.
4 years, hard work.
Yeah.
Really, 4 years. The Beatles had it hard too. Everybody,
Everybody who gets in it, you see the excitement of it all, but it's work.
You see the finished product, and it looks so easy and such fun. We'll be right back. I had a wonderful time. I feel like I got to know everybody. Yeah. Is there anything anybody wants to say right this minute as a debut or as a closer for the show?
I'd just like to say that I had anticipated coming on here, and you've made it so really nice for me, all of you.
Really?